Thank you so much for staying with us tonight on Women in Leadership. My one-on-one will be with an amazing lady. She's been an inspiration to thousands of women in the country and beyond. Tonight in studio, Reverend Kiuna. She is the associate pastor at JCC Parklands, and she's the visionary of the Daughters of Zion Ministry. She's of course also power couple together with Bishop Alan Kiuna. That's her husband, and tonight she joins us in studio. Please use the hashtag one-on-one or SMS us using 22422 to forward your questions to Reverend Kiuna. She's with us in studio. Reverend Kiuna, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And I understand, for those of you who've been tweeting, tonight a treat for you from Rev. What do you have for us tonight?
That's what's up, by the way. You know what? The first two ladies that will tweet and good tweets. We have tickets for you. We have this upcoming convention that's starting on the 30th of August to the 4th of September, and it's going for 2,500. So we're going to give two ladies, this for free if you tweet us. So make sure you do a quick job and a good one. And then we have two for men.
Wow.
So it's the same meeting. It's going to be from the 30th of August to the 4th of September. And we have guests from all over, from United States, United Kingdom. We have guests from here. And it's going to be an amazing, amazing women's convention.
Okay, great.
And 2 days of that, we're going to involve men. That's why we're giving...
Also, the men are invited to the women's convention
for
as well.
2 days, for 2 days, for 2 days.
Okay.
The women are 6 days. The men are 2 days.
Okay, great. Okay, so keep tweeting, use the hashtag one-on-one. You might be the lucky viewer that gets yourself those tickets. Rev Kathy, I want to start with the fact that you're so much into uplifting women. Tell us where this passion comes from for you. Why did you decide to focus primarily on women and empowering and uplifting them?
For me, it was a calling. First and foremost, I didn't even know that I had that calling within me until one time, you know, in the place of prayer and just waiting on God and on what He wanted us to do. My husband just said, you know that you have a calling towards the women, and that's how my eyes popped open. And then the Lord began to minister to me and tell me, look, women are ostracized, they are ridiculed, they feel secondary and not primary. They are so undermined and looked down upon. And I want you to raise up the standard among women. And this was in the year 2000. And so when he spoke to me, I was like, oh my God, where do I start? And he said, I want you to minister to them from the word of God and let every woman know that she matters, that she is not secondary, she matters, and she's at the very heartbeat of God. That actually, even in the word of God, it shows that whenever God wanted to do anything, there was a woman involved. When Jesus resurrected, there was a woman to go tell the men, hey, wake up, he's up. And so women have played a very, very pivotal role in the kingdom and in society. And so when the Lord said to me to get out there and tell them that they matter, the passion was, I tell you, Lillian, I can't even tell you how deeply rooted this passion is. And
we know that traditionally women in the country have been the ones that go to church on Sundays with the children. Women... sort of, it's been enculturated into them that they have to go to church, and we're now seeing men joining them in church as well. But what was the reaction when you started talking to women and actually ministering to them in terms of those that came? What stories were they giving? What narratives were they giving about what they were dealing with?
You know, I tell you, if we start like talking about what women normally deal with from those days till now, till God knows when, I tell you, it's really, really deep. They deal with a lot of issues. And yes, it's true that women are the ones, if you come to any church whatsoever, you find that 80% is women and just 20 is the men. And many of those women are even married, but their husbands would even drop them and then go away, you know, because that's just the way it is and the way society has been. But of late, we have really seen men also coming up. They are really, really coming up. However, women do go through a lot of issues, a lot of abuses, a lot of rejection, a lot of low self-esteem based on where they are coming from. And so every time there is something to deal when it comes to women.
Talking about pastors and the story that we just highlighted earlier today of Mwende, who was allegedly abused by her husband, chopped off her hands, and the fact that a pastor encouraged her to stay in the marriage and fight for the marriage. When women come to you with cases of extreme abuse, how do you approach that? Mwenda says that she stayed because the pastors that would come into the home told her, you must fight for this marriage. And that's the same narrative across homes in the country, where spiritual leaders or pastors come in and say, look, marriage is an institution that should not be done away with. Stay and fight for this thing.
Right. Now, we must look at it as a whole, because many people right now are taking off from marriages because they've been told to cook or to do something they didn't feel like doing. That's how petty divorces have become. Like very small things would cause somebody to just up and go and decide, you know, to go and get greener pastures. Really, it's very important to talk to both parties to understand, because see, there's always two sides to every coin. And so it's always good to understand, where is this woman coming from and why is all this happening. However, when it comes to beating is not, it's not on. If any woman is being bashed and beaten up, forget cutting of hands, because now that's extreme, that's ridiculous. There should not be any violence, physical violence, emotional violence, stuff like that. It should not be happening in a marriage setup. There should always be, marriage is for not endurance, but for enjoying. Okay, there are times you will fight issues, there are times you will go through issues, obviously, because we are all human and we go through issues, right? But that doesn't mean that you now take beatings and molestation and stuff like that in your marriage. And so it's not on to advise somebody who's being whooped to stay in the marriage and continue being whooped. That's really not right. That person must seek help. They must seek help, they must seek counsel, they must understand where it's coming from. Because I've counseled with women who are being beaten for abusing the men. Like,
so that provocation coming from the woman.
Exactly. So you see, when you now tell that woman, oh my God, get up and go, you see, she's going to go and probably abuse the next person, get beaten by the next person, and the other one until the fifth. Because why? There is something that she needs to deal with that she's not dealing with. And that's why I'm saying it's very, very important to ask both parties what's cutting, what's going on.
Marriage is supposed to be for enjoyment, like you said, Reverend Kiuna. And I want to talk about you and Bishop Alan Kiuna and the fact that you run this ministry together, you're by his side, and the pressure that that puts on you as a couple to be the perfect couple. Are you the perfect couple? What has it taken to even... despite being, you know, under that spotlight, everybody putting your relationship basically on the spotlight, what has it taken for you to actually deal with that pressure? How do you guys do it?
Actually, to be very honest,
do you guys even fight? Do you have bad days?
Of course we do. I mean, let me tell you, I met a couple the other day and I was asking them, they were just starting off, and I was asking them, have you fought? And I was waiting for the man to tell me they've never fought, so I know that it's an abnormal relationship. If you're going to be two people in a relationship, no matter how much you love each other, there is going to be some fight at some point. And so yes, we do. Our fights, there were more when we were younger. As we are growing older, they are really far apart. But we are best of friends with my husband, and I really thank God for that. We are really close friends, and so we talk. See, because friends, when you see, every relationship must grow, okay? You must come from a place of just being married to a place of now developing and cultivating a relationship of friendship, because then you can talk about everything. And yes, we do have those fights here and there, but my husband and I are good friends, and this is what we say: our bedroom will not be a war zone. So if we have a fight in the day for whatever reason, we must sort it before we go to that bedroom. So that we sleep in peace.
Yeah. Let's talk about JCC. Was this dictated? Did you follow in your husband's footsteps? Did he follow in your footsteps? How was this conceived? Who came up with the idea? How was JCC born, and when?
It was actually my husband who got the call. He got the call from the Lord, and that was in 1998 when the Lord said to him, I want you to start a church called Jubilee Christian Church. In fact, we were flabbergasted. To be honest, we were like, what? Because we thought that we'd be there to support. Our mom is Evangelist Teresia Wairimo, an amazing woman of God, and she's the one that
what do you mean, your mom, your spiritual mom? Or?
Spiritual mom. And we got saved through her ministry. And so my husband was there. He got saved at 19. He's been a church boy from 19 years old. From 20. He grew up in church but wasn't saved then. I mean, he started drinking and doing all those things from 15. So those 4 years, he actually covered for the 30 that, you know.
What about you? Were you a party girl? Were you...
It was bad. Carnival would not open without me.
Really?
How? And it would not close without me either.
Wow.
I was a party girl.
Yeah.
I was the riotous kind. I was what you call the black sheep of the family. My mother used to ask, were you exchanged in hospital? Because what is all this?
Yeah.
But you know what? I was that kind of girl. I'm a happy-go-lucky. So I was very, you know, let's go do it, you know. Yes, I was there. And really just did all that. The discotheques, I went into all of them. Drank, smoked, tried weed once.
Wow. That doesn't sound like...
Just letting you know that I didn't drop from heaven.
So you've lived the life.
I've lived the life. I got a child when I was 21 years old, you know, just before I got married. And I got married when she was 3 years old. And, you know, so, yes, been there, done that, bought a T-shirt and maybe jeans. So I've come from a mighty long way. Yeah,
and now you're this powerful woman of God. So, yes, let's continue with JCC and how the journey has been.
I'll tell you, okay, when he got the calling, I was ready to support him and to stand by my husband all the way, because I didn't even know, like I said, that I had any calling until later on when he saw it. However, I was ready to stand by him, to just, you know, be there for him. I was leading praise and worship when we began the church, and I was going to just support him to preach all the way until 2003 when the Daughters of Zion began. So yes, the ministry was begun by Bishop Alan Kiuna, and then we worked together. We've always worked together. I was doing praise and worship then and doing special songs, you know, and then it just flowed together. We started very small, by the way. You know, people see this massive church of over 10,000 right now, and they think that that's just how it is. But we started from a mighty long way. When we started church, we actually didn't even have a home to live in. We were being hosted by a widow woman, and we were sleeping on the floor. That time we had two girls, two kids. Now we have 3. And we were sleeping on the floor with nothing to our name. We didn't even have a coin that has a hole in the middle. We were, poor people called us poor. It was bad. But you know what? We started and just walked in obedience and allowed God to move in our lives and through us. And we've seen God do tremendous things. Raise people from poverty into a level that even they look at and say, there surely is a God.
And Kathy, I want to you know, bring your attention to something that once trended on Twitter, where you were quoted or maybe misquoted as saying poor people should not come to JCC. How true or unfair was that statement?
For me, I was actually thinking, you know, that I didn't even want to dignify it with an answer, because that's how small it is. It's really far-fetched. It's ridiculous. I don't even know who would come up with such a statement. My husband grew up in the slums. He grew up in this little room. And I visited him, by the way, before I got married.
But you were a girl from a posh background, were you?
Absolutely. I was.
What was your reaction when you visited him in his little...
You know, we were actually hopping, stepping, and jumping on feces outside. I mean, it was really bad. But I loved him, and I didn't care. And my dad brought us up in this way, that no matter where a person is in life, never laugh at them, never look down on them. So for me, it was a laughing matter. Like, how can you even think that? Because we have people who come from Kawangware, from, you know, deep down the slums, you know, of Madare. We have people that come from the least that you can imagine, that come to church. And we are there to help them and empower them to become. You know, like, for instance, there's a woman that came a few years ago, about 15 years actually. You know, we are 17 years old as a church. She came when we were just 2 years old. She came from the streets of Nairobi. She lives in Kawangware, right? And so she came as from a beggarly place where she was begging on the streets together with her 7 children, with no husband, no nobody. So you know what we did? When she came into church, we were so touched. We felt, no, we can't just let her go. And we took her in. I call her Mama We Know. We took her in. We educated all her kids. 3 of them are now working. 4 of them are still in school. We are still educating them. And now we are building her a house. She's about to move into her own house. So when you talk about me not liking poor people, you don't know me. Yeah. And
again, just as we move away from that, the perception that men of God or servants of God should live a very humble life. I know that your photos have been flashed on social media, a life of opulence, you know, just constantly being put on the spotlight about this grandiose way of living. What's your response to that?
I believe that no man of God can be paid enough, mark my word, paid enough to do what they do. People are thankless when it comes to men of God. But I tell you, if you knew the kind of things that a man of God has to endure to be able to even cause people to be led and to stand and to be encouraged. Because sometimes you're encouraging when you yourself you're discouraged, you know, because you're human. And so there is so much that men of God do that deserves more than the earth can produce for them.
So no apologies whatsoever for success and...
Absolutely. I want every man of God to be blessed beyond measure. Because, by the way, as you are blessed, so the followership gets blessed also. Yeah.
And please keep sending in your tweets using #111. We'll read them out very quickly after my conversation with Reverend Kathy Kiuna. And remember, you get 4 tickets, and therefore please keep tweeting. We'll pick out the winners of those tickets shortly. Rev Kiuna, I want you to tell us about family, your children, and the fact that you have to balance this ministry and leadership and family as well. At the end of the day, you're a mother, you're a wife, and you're a pastor. So talk to us about your children. Tell us a little bit about your children.
Okay. Oh, well, I thank God now they've really grown. They've really grown. But the life of pastoring has to come with balance, or any form of leadership, not just pastoring. But if you're a leader at any capacity or any level, you have to really have a life of balance. And so when it comes to my children, my home, first and foremost, is not a church home. Okay? When you come to my home, you have to have an appointment, because I have an office for church and for other things. My home is for me and my children. Okay? And so that I was very clear about, so that I could give my children time, especially in the evenings. It was a no-go zone, because it had to be a time where I could spend having dinner with my children. I love cooking, and they love my food too. So I had to spend time just, you know, spending time with my children and just instilling good morals and stuff like that to them. So that's very key for me. Family is untouchable. It's number 1. Yeah. And
just as we start to wind up, Reverend Kathy, would you share a bit about Jeremy? I know, reading you out, that you've spoken passionately about him. I know Bishop Kiuna has spoken about Jeremy as well. Share with us a little bit about Jeremy.
Jeremy, I call him the apple of my eye. He is an amazing young man. He just turned 16 on the 21st of July. Jeremy was born at 6 months. He was premature. He was 3 months premature, and so he's At the age of 1.5, we saw that he wasn't doing the things that a 1.5-year-old would do. And then so like sitting straight and walking and stuff like that. And so we went to the doctors, and they said it was this, that. They started saying different things. And then we were also giving excuses because it was premature. We thought that, you know, that was also the reason why the slow kind of, you know, motions especially. But at the age of 2, sorry, we were now told that he had cerebral palsy. And so we started physiotherapy with him. And we've been on physiotherapy for many years. And Jeremy is very, very sharp. He's A1. I mean, his brain function is A1, but the walking, the function of walking, he has to walk with a walker, yeah. But right now he's going through lots of physio that are actually helping him to be able to walk on his own, and we are really trusting in God that he's going to be able to do that. But he's a great kid. He's an amazing kid and very sharp. And if you see him sitting down, he has legs like his mother. You know, those nice, fat, nice legs.
Thanks for sharing that, Rev Kiuna. So as we begin to wind up, I want to talk about societal expectation that children of pastors should behave like small pastors. I know your daughters are fairly young. You've got a teenager. And therefore, you know, that pressure, even on the children of pastors, to just be as a holy Joe, for lack of a better word, as mommy and daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for all the kids of pastors out there, the pressure that they go through, they just want to be normal kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I tell society is, please leave pastors' children alone. They are not the pastors. They are not called. It is the pastors who are called. You don't have to put their children, like you don't have to put that light on their children, that they have to do this and be in this class and do that and the other. It's very, very wrong. I remember my children would come home crying, and they would come really, really wailing and saying, I'm tired, I'm done, everybody's looking at me with this, you know, and I'm hanging out with my friends, I want to do this, and I have these people just, oh my God, that's Kiuna's kid. And so it's very, very discouraging, especially for the kids. But we are this kind of parents. We said, you know what, honey, live your life. Live your life. You know what? Live your life. Whoever wants to say whatever they need to say, let them say. Because why? You are a child. Just grow. Because why? I don't want to force my kids to get my God. I want them to choose. I want them to make a deliberate choice. That's what I want. Because if you force a child that they must, you must, and you force it into their throat, guess what? They're going to turn around. But if you train a child in the way he should go, the Bible says when he is old, he will not depart from it. So at the end of the day, they'll always come back to God, if at all they veer off.
And we're closing now. I want you to talk to that woman out there, Reverend Kiuna, that woman who looks up to you for mentorship and direction, that woman who is hurting, perhaps even Mwende, who encountered or what she encountered in the week that was with the assault. You have a remarkable story. You told us about how you started JCC very small, how Bishop Kiuna grew up very poor, but you still loved him and supported his vision. And now with your Women of Zion ministry, which he encouraged you to start. So remarkable story, really. You are just human like the rest of us. So just talk to that woman out there who is hurting or who has so many questions and desires to find answers but doesn't know who to talk to. Yeah.
What I'll tell you as a woman is you must never, ever give up. You must never allow society to put a hedge over you that you can never go and cross it over. Know that you're only stoppable because you choose to stop. So you might as well just desire and decide, I'm not going to stop at anything. This is what I advise. Get mentorship. You see, we are not an island. You cannot do anything or everything by yourself. You need to get a mentor. And then when you get a mentor, you need to be accountable. You see, what I've realized, Lillian, is accountability is critical. And a lot of people don't want accountability because they have this notion of they know. And so you must be that woman that says, look, I don't know it all. No matter how educated you are, no matter what level you've reached, you need to be accountable to somebody, because accountability will always cause you and help you to put barriers, know what to do, when and how, and what not to do. And so as a woman, please get accountable and get mentorship. Also, come out of insecurity. Come out of insecurity. Insecurity is killing a lot of women. You cannot be insecure and make it in life. You have to be confident. You have to know who you are. And if God says you are fearfully and wonderfully made, who are you to argue with God? God even says, whoever finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor before God. So guess what? You're the favored one. You carry favor. Stop feeling sorry for yourself as a woman. Get up. Pick up your pieces. Join them together and begin to walk, because you are a woman without limits.
And this is Women in Leadership. We've been talking to the very blessed and amazing Reverend Kathy Kiuna. By the way, do we have tweets come there? Will we take them at the end of the show, or will we take them now? Okay, we'll be taking your tweets. All right, we have them now. So let's see who wins these tickets from Reverend Kathy Kiuna this evening. Let's take up your tweets, and there we go. Okay, Joy Maureen, you're saying, kama single lady naweza taka kwenda kusoma how to be an admirable lady in the Lord. Okay, that's Joy. Mite, this lady is so powerful. I appreciate the fact that she has recognized men. Faith Ambajo, it is time that women stood out. As long as we can dare to dream, we can dare to stand out. Caroline, you're saying, thank you for having Reverend Kathy Kiuna to tell us that even God is not happy with woman abuse. And David Warutere, Reverend Kathy Kiuna is an inspiration to both men and women. That's the last tweet. Okay, so to the two gentlemen, the ones who send in those tweets, you get these tickets courtesy of JCC, and of course the two ladies who tweeted first, the tweets that we read out first from the two ladies, you also get to get those tweets. Reverend Kathy Kiuna, your closing comments as we close.
And so listen, if you don't get the tickets today, you have a chance to go get them at Tuskys. We have them at Ashley's, and we also have them at this bookshop, Keswick Bookshop, and we also have them at JCC, Jubilee Christian Church. So please make sure you get yourself a copy. It's only $2,500 for 6 days of empowerment. The mentorship I'm talking about, you're going to get it in 6 days. It's going to be powerful, because we have amazing men and women of God coming from all walks of life. May the good Lord bless you. I want you to understand that you are a woman without limits, and don't allow anybody to put you down, to size you down. You're all that, a bag of chips, a dip on the side.
That's Reverend Kathy Kiuna. So contact us right here on Citizen. You will be able to pick up the tickets. Please get in touch with me on my Twitter, and I'll tell you how you can collect your tickets. We're taking a short break. We'll return with a